Hey guys, it's Jen, and if you can't tell from the sheet behind me, I'm actually at Jordan's apartment while he's away on vacation. I decided to come up to the city just to do some business stuff, to do some Christmas shopping, and things like that. So I'm actually planning on doing a bit of investigative digging on a certain problem here, a widespread problem in low-income public housing. So I'll get into that a little bit. Otherwise, I just kind of wanted to make sure that you guys know that even though Jordan's on vacation, that doesn't mean we're stopping. Ty's going to be going live. I'm going to be uploading videos, maybe going live, we'll see. And we're going to keep things going. And we also have some great interviews that Jordan did. One with Nick Brana, or Brana, I'm not sure how to pronounce that. I've met him, he's a nice guy. One talking about the People's Movement. So we'll be uploading that today, part one today, and then part 2 and 3 will kind of spread out, one per day. So yeah, stick around, make sure you tune in for Ty's lives. I'm going to give you a little bit of a preview. I haven't done the deep dive reading and digging and research that I normally would do for this topic, just because I kind of wanted to do a really quick video. I'm actually going to head out, and I have Ty just sent us one of the drafts for the Flint documentary, so I'm actually video right now, but I'll do a longer one later on about these topics. So one that I've actually been reading about for a couple of years is the Jeffrey Epstein case. And if you're not familiar with Epstein, he's a rich guy, imagine that, a rich white guy, who has done very terrible things. He actually had what I would consider a child child sex ring. He's a pedophile. And very high profile people such as our President Donald Trump and our former President Bill Clinton have very, very close ties with him. And also, one of the favorites of the cable news, Alan Dershowitz, the lawyer, was one of the ones who helped Epstein get only an 18-month sentence for running a child sex ring. So the Miami Herald actually FOIA'd, or I think it was a lawsuit actually, for some documents, and they just came out on November 28th with this groundbreaking, because no one else was talking about it anymore, story about Jeffrey Epstein. So I'm going to read bits and pieces about this, but get into it later on. And if you aren't familiar with this case, I recommend you read, it's called Filthy Rich by James Patterson and then some co-authors. And I read that when it first came out. I believe that was a couple of years ago. And it is just shocking what this guy was allowed to do, this rich guy who lived in Florida and had all these major connections. And hopefully my audio is okay, because I realized I left my headphones at home that I usually use, and I don't have the pluggy thing that I usually use to use a microphone. So hopefully you can hear me. That's why I'm sitting kind of close to the computer here. So let's see here. This guy, inmate W35755, and again, this is reporting by the Miami Herald, is definitely not treated like other sex offenders in Florida or anywhere else. And in fact, Florida has some of the strictest sex offender laws in the nation. And I just can't say enough. That's why I really want to report deeply on this story, because what this guy got away with, 18 months in prison only, after what he did, is astonishing, and should show anyone that this justice system is not a justice system at all. So let's see, as far back as 2001, Epstein lured a steady stream of underage girls to his Palm Beach mansion to engage in nude massages, masturbation, oral sex, and intercourse, court and police records show. The girls, mostly from disadvantaged, troubled families, were recruited from middle and high school around Palm Beach County. Epstein would pay the girls for massages and offer them further money to bring him new girls every time he was at his home in Palm Beach. And apologies if this is making you sick. It's making me sick. It gives me such a nauseous, awful feeling. I can't believe this happened and that he essentially was not punished for it. The girls, now in their late 20s and early 30s, allege in a series of federal civil lawsuits filed over the past decade that Epstein sexually abused hundreds of girls, not only in Palm Beach, but at his homes in Manhattan, New Mexico, and the Caribbean. In 2007, the FBI had prepared a 53-page federal indictment charging Epstein with sex crimes that could have put him in federal prison for life. But then Miami U.S. Attorney Alexander Acosta, who was up for a position in the Trump realm recently. Excuse me for not remembering which one, but it's disgusting that he's up for anything. Let's see. Alexander Acosta signed off on a non-prosecution agreement, which was negotiated, signed, and sealed so that no one would know of the full scope of Epstein's crimes. The indictment was shelved, never to be seen again. Epstein instead pleaded guilty to lesser charges in state court and was required to register as a sex offender. He was sentenced to 18 months incarceration. It's unbelievable. But Epstein, who had a long list of powerful, politically connected friends, aka the Trumps and the Clintons, didn't go to state prison like most sex offenders in Florida. Instead, the multimillionaire was assigned to a private wing of the Palm Beach County Stockade, where he was able to hire his own security detail. Even then, he didn't spend much time in his cell. He was allowed to go to his downtown West Palm Beach office for work release, up to 12 hours a day, 6 days a week. He was required to hire his own private psychologist for his required sex offender counseling, and after his release from jail, his subsequent year of probation under house arrest was filled with trips on his corporate jet to Manhattan and to his home in the U.S. Virgin Islands, all approved by the courts with no objection from the state. On the morning of his sentencing in 2008, none of Epstein's victims were in the courtroom to protest his soft jail term. Let's see, I'm going to skip ahead to some of the things that he did. This whole thing is so gross. He actually had some of these young girls kind of act as recruiters to recruit more young girls. So they would get paid like a finder's fee for finding him more girls that he could trick into giving him massages. And then he would, you know, make them strip down while they gave him massages. They would have to basically do what he wanted. And in one case, the girl agreed to have sex with one of his accomplices, one of the female accomplices, but did not want to have sex with Jeffrey Epstein, a teen girl. Again, these are teen girls, anywhere from 14, I believe, on up. And he raped her and then said he was sorry and flowered her with gifts as his apology. So now these women are older, and they're able to fight back more, and that it seems like that's what they're doing. So one of the girls, her last name is Wild, who was 14 when she met Epstein, is suing the federal government, alleging that prosecutors kept her and other victims in the dark as part of a conspiracy to give Epstein, described in the lawsuit as a powerful, politically connected multimillionaire, one of the most lenient deals for a serial child sex offender in history. This lawsuit and an unrelated state court case scheduled for trial on December 4th could expose more about Epstein's crimes, as well as who else was involved and whether there was any undue influence that tainted the federal case. Some of Epstein's victims will finally have the opportunity to testify for the first time as part of the December 4th case in state court in Palm Beach. Let's see here. Few people had as much insight into Epstein's lifestyle and its international reach as Virginia Roberts. By age 16, Roberts had lived a life that was beyond that of most high school girls. She, let's see, it talks a lot about her life here. That summer, when Roberts was 16, she said her father helped her get a job as a locker room attendant at the spa at Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago resort in Palm Beach. Her father worked at the resort as a maintenance man. There she met Ghislaine Maxwell, a woman, an Epstein friend and socialite daughter of the late British publishing magnate Robert Maxwell. She offered Roberts an opportunity to become a massage therapist working for Epstein. In a sworn court affidavit and a new recent interview with the Herald, Roberts described how Epstein and Maxwell began grooming her, not just to perform massages, but to sexually pleasure them and others. It started with one, and it trickled into two, and so on, Roberts told the Herald. And before you know it, I'm being lent out to politicians and academics and royalty. Roberts, too, was ordered to find Epstein girls, the younger the better, by trolling areas where teenagers congregated, such as shopping malls, to lure girls into whatever residence Epstein was staying in at the time. So this is a very long piece of the Miami Herald, and I'll put the link in the description, but I want to make it clear that there were dozens of these girls, these teenage girls, and they were sickeningly playthings for the powerful and the elite. And Jeffrey Epstein has not been called into account. And with this, it seems like there's some potential for that to finally happen. I haven't gotten into the weeds with what might happen, what this court case means, but I think it's important to be aware of what's going on, that there truly is a different set of rules for the powerful and the wealthy. And it's, as I said, stomach churning to listen to these stories and to read about the Jeffrey Epstein case, but he's living a very fun life, a very rich life. And Bill Clinton has ridden on his plane lots and lots of times. I believe some reports are upwards of 20. So that's not to say that Bill Clinton did anything with teenage girls. There's no evidence of that. But what did Carlin say? It's a big club and you're not in it. And that's essentially what this is. It's absolutely disgusting, and I will do more reporting on this because I think it's very important. Again, that will come later. This is just kind of an update video. I also, while I'm here in New York, I want to do some reporting on what's happening with the New York City Housing Authority, and it's very disgusting. So there's testing done to see if there's lead present in these homes, and it was found that, I believe it was 800, let me find the, so back in July, the New York Times reported that there were 820 children under 6 in public housing that tested high for lead. So this would be them testing their blood lead levels, and they were high for lead. And zero amount of lead is okay and safe for humans. So this is awful, and since this is public housing, it is fully the responsibility of the city. And now what's more disgusting, well, not more disgusting, actually, what's also disgusting is that the official response to this, to the tests, is to challenge the tests. So obviously, like Jordan and I have done reporting in Flint where we do challenge the tests because they did the test the wrong way. But this is a very different circumstance where these children are getting tested, and the officials, instead of wanting to do something about it, knowing that children are getting sick and that lead has long-lasting effects that will last their entire lives, cognitively, physically, everything, they're just wanting to challenge the tests. So this reporting is out of the New York Times. Again, I will have my own original reporting on this, hopefully very soon. Let's see here. Starts out talking about a woman named Michaela Bonaparte, who has spent her entire life under the roof of the New York City Housing Authority, which is the oldest and largest public housing system in the country, where as a toddler she nibbled on paint chips that flaked on the floor. In the summer of 2016, when she was not quite 3 years old, a test by her doctor showed that she had lead in her blood at levels rarely seen in modern New York. A retest 2 days later revealed an even higher level, one more commonly found in factory or construction workers. Within 2 weeks, a city health inspector visited the 2 Brooklyn public housing apartments where Michaela spent her time. Her mother's in the Tompkins houses, her grandmother's in the Gowanus houses, to look for the source of lead exposure. The inspector, wielding a handheld device that can detect lead through multiple layers of paint, found the dangerous heavy metal in both homes. The health department ordered the housing authority to fix the problems. The discovery spurred the housing authority to action, and what it did was challenge those results. Rather than remove or cover the lead, the housing authority dispatched its own inspector who used a different test. The agency insisted that however Michaela was poisoned, there was no lead in her apartments. Entrusted as a landlord to 400,000 people, the housing authority has struggled for years to fulfill its mission amid a strangled budget and almost endemic political neglect. Last week, a judge suggested strongly that the federal government should take over the agency after an investigation found evidence of deep mismanagement, including that the housing authority failed to perform lead inspections and then falsely claimed it had. 6 top executives lost their job because of that. But for the last 2 decades, almost every time a child in its apartments tested positive for high lead levels, NYCHA, New York City Housing Authority, launched a counteroffensive, city records show. From 2010 through July of this year, the agency challenged 95% of the orders it received from the health department to remove lead detected in their public housing. Private landlords, on the other hand, almost never contest a finding of lead. They did so in only 4% of the 5,000 orders they received over the same period. And the New York City Housing Authority's strategy often worked. The health department backed down in 158 of 211 cases, which is astonishing. And this guy, named David Jacobs, who ran the lead poisoning prevention program at the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, said, "I'm not sure how useful it is to spend all the time and resources going back and forth with testing when maybe we could spend the time and resources making sure the exposure is controlled." Makes sense? The Times interviewed more than 100 current and former top city and federal housing officials, maintenance workers, building managers, lead contractors, health experts, and public housing residents and reviewed thousands of pages of documents. Taken together, they reveal an agency that assumed lead was no longer a threat, despite not knowing really where it was. The article goes on to talk more about the failures of the New York City Housing Authority, and essentially it's something that's not surprising that these low-income, mostly minority people who are in this public housing are exposed to this lead, and that there are cover-ups. I mean, that sounds familiar, right? With the lead levels in Flint in their water. They will do everything they can to cover it up, and it's something that I really want to dig into and investigate. I want to maybe talk to some of these families who are lead exposed. Hopefully I'll have time to do that while I'm out here, and I know Jordan cares about this story too, but I'm going to be doing some research and some digging and to see what I can find out about this. Again, this is just kind of early sharing of what I will be talking about, because these children will never be the same. There are things that they can do to reduce lead exposure now, but the effects of lead will not be known for specific children until they're older. And those effects will be around for the entirety of their life. And it's not like these people can just, people want to say, oh, why don't they just move? Why don't they just go somewhere else? These people can't do that. They don't have the money to do that. This housing is provided for them for a reason, and it's to give them a safe place to live with their children, with their families. And with lead exposure, that's not a safe place to live. And with these cover-ups, it's clear that they don't care about these people. They don't care about these poor minority residents who are suffering. I can't fathom how anyone could know that they are actively harming people. And that's what these authorities are doing in the New York City Housing Authority. They are actively harming people by not taking action, by covering up the testing. And it's absolutely disgusting. I simply just, it seems, it is definitely inhumane, and it seems inhuman to me. What kind of person does that? What has to have happened in your life that you simply don't care about others? And the moment you know that there's a lead problem or some other kind of problem, you don't take action to fix it. It's really, really disturbing to me. It's something I won't get over, but that's what Status Quo lives for. We want to expose the things that are going on, whether it's children poisoned by lead in Flint, children poisoned by lead in New York City, children poisoned all over the country, environmental scandal, scandal like what I just told you about Jeffrey Epstein and how the wealthy and elite live by a different set of rules. And I will be reporting on both of these topics more, so look for that. If you have any suggestions for what you want me to dig into and research in addition, other stories, please use the email address emailJordan. Yes, that's not just Jordan. It's actually emailJordan at protonmail.com. EmailJordan@protonmail.com with story ideas that you want me to cover this week. If you have any thoughts or insights into Epstein or the NYCHA lead problem, let me know. And it wouldn't be a stream or a video if we didn't tell you all the really cool things we're doing. So I want to let you know that we've been uploading a lot of special content to the members area on statusquo.com. If you're not a member yet, please become one. You can become a member for as low as $5 or $10 is the other limit or price, whatever you want to call it. And you get really great things like behind the scenes podcasts, behind the scenes videos, behind the scenes photos, weekly video calls, things like that. Things that, our reporting is free, but we'll be having lots of other things. For example, our Flint documentary is coming out soon, and members will get access to bloopers and behind the scenes things, and it's going to be really, really cool. So again, check out all the member benefits at statusquo.com. Also, sign up for our email list. It's really important that we have your email so that we can contact you with breaking news. You are definitely aware that we are being suppressed on social media, so getting you on our email list gives us more control, and we know you want our content. So definitely become a member. We have a goal of reaching 100 members by the end of December, which I definitely think we can do. And right now we have about 25. So every one of you counts. If you can budget us in at $5 a month or $10 a month, that would be awesome. For now, I'm going to say bye-bye because I got to go do some work in a coffee shop, add some more notes to the documentary Ty just turned in, and see if Jordan's written me any messages. He got really sunburnt on his vacation, so he was going to go scuba diving today, but the sunburn is, it's bad. It's really bad. He said he was putting on 60 SPF and stuff a few times yesterday, but I guess that sun is really, really blazing out there. So he's resting and relaxing. He's also watching the documentary, even though he's not supposed to be working. He's mostly following that advice, and he's having a good time, for those of you who are wondering. And thanks for tuning in. Peace.